zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. Just want to thank all our fans and listeners. We really appreciate it. We just dropped a really awesome episode 31 on 31. We ranked all of the big three in the Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Friday the 13th. Go check that one out. That was a really fun episode. You can come vibe and hang out with us. Tonight, just before we get started in our film review, I just want to give a quick shout out to our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Don't go out there, just search that and you'll find us. Or just go to our website, don'tgoooutthere.com. We have all of our socials on there, our episodes, interviews, celebrity shout-outs, our store. We have all of it there if you want to check us all out. And we've been, all of us as a group of co-hosts have decided to try some themed months. And this month is no different. We're going with a month that kind of bullies me because I've never watched any movies. This month, the theme is we are all picking a movie we've never seen before. And Dustin picked 2016's Train to Busan. Dustin, do you want to go first with your general overview and I'll go after you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this movie kind of instantly popped in my head when we announced this or when we decided on the theme for this month. And it's because of the things that I've seen online about this movie. Every time that you Google horror movies or Google top horror movies or what have you, this is always on the list and it's always close to the top. And I'd never seen it. I'm not going to lie. I'm usually hesitant to click on foreign films. I don't dislike them, but it usually just takes me a little bit longer to get around to watching them. This one is no exception. I remember seeing all these good things about it and everything, but it was just one of those like, well, I'll watch it eventually. And then this was a perfect excuse to just go ahead and jump on it. And boy, am I glad I did. This movie exceeds everything that I read online about it. I don't want to give too much away about how I'm feeling after I watched it, but I knew that it was a zombie movie. I don't dislike zombie movies. There's a lot of critics of that genre, but I actually kind of enjoy them if they're done right. Bubba, this one is done right. I don't have much other things to say other than just to gloat about, haha, I picked a great movie.
Oh, yeah, I'll go next. And y'all bear with me. I'm going to go ahead and just get my feelings out about it now. I'm going to do some callbacks to some former episodes that we've reviewed. When Dustin picked this movie, I won't say that I was dreading watching it, like The Shining, which I'm going to bring up. But, we've only reviewed one other foreign film, Audition, and it was god-awful. I absolutely hated that movie. So I was kind of hesitant on this. But I watched a couple of YouTube reviewers that I trust, Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, Bloodbath and Beyond. I watched their reviews, and they just had nothing but good things to say about this movie. They talked about how powerful of a movie this was. And this movie is one of two movies that we reviewed that absolutely stuck with me for days. And the other is The Shining. And I want to call back one more film review to something Brian said that's always stuck with me in The Conjuring 2. He said, The Conjuring 2 is not about the ghosts, the demons. It's grounded in the relationship between Ed and Lorraine. And this movie it's not about the zombies. It's grounded in character development and your feelings towards these characters. This movie is flawless with character development. It makes you feel for these characters. And this movie emotionally wrecked me, honestly. It was so powerful. Every time I watch the ending, I have to fight tears every single time. It's an incredibly powerful movie. It moved me, and I have next to nothing bad to say about it. Because, like Dustin said, I'm not a fan of zombie movies. Honestly, they're not my go-to. But after reviewing Dawn of the Dead and The Crazies, those two movies, no offense to those fans of those movies, is nowhere near as good as this movie, in my opinion. This movie is phenomenal, and I loved it. and I will be buying the Blu-ray as soon as I can. Brian, do you want to go after me? General overview?
Yeah, sure. Man, I said that about Conjuring 2. That actually sounds halfway smart. So, well, wow.
No, you
Can't
probably
believe I
stole it
actually
somewhere.
said something smart in this. Yeah, probably. Um, anyway, look, I'm kind of the same thought. I thoroughly love this movie. I had never seen it before this week either. So, it's not, by the way, a prerequisite that we all haven't seen the movie. It's just whoever's picking hasn't seen the movie, but I have not seen this movie. Nico talked about former episodes. Like if you listen to our review of 03's Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, I picked that. I love that movie. You know, I'm a fan of only running zombies. If you're a movie that has a slow ass Weekend at Bernie's zombies, I'm out. But this one has running ones, and by God, does it. I think the performances are good. I honestly can't tell a ton about the acting because I unfortunately watched the dubbed version, and whoever dubbed this, I'm pulling a Mike Settle callback here, they can go to hell because they did a terrible job dubbing this movie. But I tried to look past the terrible dubbing and just see the performances, and they all seemed very well done from what I could tell. I think the main character, Sak Woo, gets a very well written character arc in this movie. And most of the characters get time to be fleshed out for the most part over the 2 hours. And you don't even feel that runtime. You don't even feel the 2 hours. I didn't anyway. There are very few nitpicks I have, but they're all very minor. Overall, I think this is a brilliantly written film, and I loved it.
Yeah, so this is about to be an hour and a half love fest of this movie because, God, I love this movie. I think, man, this, and I sent it in a group. I sent it in our group text, and I want to reiterate it on this show that this movie does the horror stuff well and the non-horror stuff well. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know, when you get a really good horror movie that's just a scary, good slasher or thriller or haunting or whatever, this movie is a horror drama to me. This movie does so much story so well. Like from start to end, every character that you meet has an arc and has time to be fleshed out. And there's so many different characters, but it's not too many. So we're not meeting, 30 kids at the local high school. We're just meeting this group of this group of characters, and you get to see their start to finish on this movie. And I think that's what makes this movie so great. It's just how well it's written. And it's a well-written movie, and where the backdrop is flesh-eating zombies. And what a kind of a perfect weird time to pick a movie that has an accidental pandemic or an epidemic, I guess I should say.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not that we've experienced anything quite like that, but just a really well-timed accidental pick by Dustin, or maybe not accidental pick. Who knows how his brain works? But I think that it's so good. I don't really like zombie movies either, but I love this one. And I like The Crazies, and I like Dawn of the Dead too, but they don't touch this movie. I think this movie breaks, if you only know one language, this movie breaks language barriers. You don't even need half the time, you don't even need to understand what they're saying to get what's going on. That's how well the performances are to me, in my opinion. I just think the acting is so well done. I think the horror stuff, some of the shots in this movie from a direction standpoint are beautiful. They're scary. There's just so much good here. I have maybe one nitpick that I'm going to talk about later, but outside of that, I just can't think of much bad to say. I mean, if you thought Silence of the Lambs was a love fest, if you thought Seven was a love fest, except for someone not liking Brad Pitt, and I mean, if you thought those movies were love fest, get ready for another love fest. Look, and we did 31 on 31 where we shit on a lot of movies. We kind of nitpicked Halloween H2O to death. We've done a lot of kind of crapping on some stuff recently. Get ready for a love fest. This is going to be just a pat on the back to everyone involved in this movie. I think it's fantastic. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to my cousin Vinny. Haha, insert joke, but no, really. So my cousin Vinny, a couple months ago, recommended this movie to me. I don't even know if I ever got back to him and said that I watched it, but I did loosely in the background. I didn't really take in the story like I did the last two rewatches I gave it. But if it not been for Vinny, I also would not have seen this movie. So someone could have got me on that one. But it's going to be hard for me to pick one I haven't seen. But this was about as close as it had gotten because I'd seen it, but I hadn't seen it like I did this time. And man, I was blown away. It's great.
Absolutely. Brian, Dustin, any more opening thoughts before we jump into it?
I'm
No,
ready.
sir.
And I just want to say real quick, if you do decide to watch this movie, which I highly recommend, like Brian said, I tried to watch the dubbed version, but 5 minutes into it, I turned it off. I just could not take the dub seriously. It's free on Prime right now with subtitles. I highly recommend watching it that way. Just because, I mean, you're adding these English voices on these Korean people. It just don't sound right.
Right. It's also well done on Shudder as well. It's not English dubbed. It's just subtitles, and it's much, much better that way.
Yeah, don't watch it on Tubi because that's the one that's got it dubbed in it. Ooh.
Yeah, it's just, that's why I watched it on Prime. It's not that I'm faulting you or nothing, Brian, but I wanted to get the real movie. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just, I don't know, it offended the Asian in me watching these English voices.
Well, I should say this off air probably, but I tried to watch it on Amazon, and for some reason the subtitles weren't coming on, so it was just strictly Korean, and so I was like, what's going on? Like, there's not even subtitles, so I had to pick Tubi just because. But I don't know. I think it was my TV. I don't know.
Oh yeah, let's jump into this masterpiece, fellas. All right, the film, and like we said, this is a Korean movie, so bear with me with the names. I'm going to do my best. I am only half Asian, so I'm going to rely on the half Asian in me to not let me down tonight. The film starts with a truck driver stopping at a quarantine zone to get his truck disinfected. There's a leak in the biotech district. He drives off complaining and then hits a deer reaching for his phone. He drives off and we see the deer convulse. Then it stands back up and it looks rabid and sick. Title card. I call it Seok. He is on the phone at work doing business. He has his assistant Kim come in and reads an article about fish die-offs. He tells Kim to sell all related stock immediately, despite the repercussions. He then asks what kids are into. He's leaving work now and on the phone with his ex-wife. Their daughter wants to visit her in Busan, an hour away. They obviously have a bad relationship. Seok gets home and goes to his daughter's room, and she's on the phone with her mom. He tells her he can't take her to Busan because he's overburdened at work, then hands her a birthday gift. She opens it up, and it's a Wii, but she already has one. He asks what else she wants, and she says she wants to go to Busan to see her mommy tomorrow. She says he lies about always next time, and she says she can go alone on the train. His mom tells him to have a heart-to-heart with his ex-wife. She then says how disappointed Sue was he wasn't at her recital. He plays her recital on the camera, and she just freezes midway and stops singing. The next day, they're heading to the train. He tells her he saw her at the recital and asks why she stopped. She knows that he wasn't there. He slams brakes when several fire trucks and ambulances fly through an intersection. They see fire in the distance, and he says something must be happening. Now we're at the train station, and people are boarding. The baseball coach has all of his players sit down, and Jen sits down by Young. She has a crush on him. Now we meet these two middle-aged sisters as Seok and his daughter board. A woman who appears sick boards a train behind the attendee's back. He sees a ruckus at the top of the stairs. The sick girl is in the bathroom trying to treat her wounds. Yeon Suk, he's the guy that everyone hates in this movie, tells the attendee a strange man boarded the train. They find him sitting in the floor panicked, saying everyone's dead over and over. Yeon Suk tells the girl to do well in school or she'll end up like him. The sick girl falls down convulsing. Sang sends Sue Ann to another bathroom. His wife is using the one she was trying to use. The female attendee finds the girl convulsing and calls for help. Seok gets a call about how serious this incident is, and another attendee goes to help the girl. The two sisters say people riot over anything. Then the girl stands up and looks like a zombie now. All right, Brian, that's the first two scenes I got. And I just want to say that this movie was kind of hard to do scene by scene because it's like, where the hell do you stop at? But I did my best, guys. Go ahead, Brian.
Right. Look, I thought the opening was really cool. That deer, really good effects. Usually a moment like that you remember, but this movie has so much happened throughout the course of the film. Like, I really appreciated that little touch, especially upon the rewatch. Mike will get into the budget later, but for the effects in this movie to look as good as they do for as little of a budget, it's very impressive. This opening group of scenes, like I think it has such good character development in such a short amount of time. Like you quickly pick up that Sok and Suan's relationship as father and daughter strained, his marriage, the whole thing. You quickly connect with these people, and I think it's just really good writing. I mean, in that recital video he watches, like you can see the hurt in Kim and Suan's eyes. Like to me, that's just tremendous acting by, which I believe the actor's name is Kim Suan as well, right? I also want to shout out the cinematography in these shots. Mike kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, but the cuts and the way they film, especially down the train corridors, like it really almost gives you this claustrophobic feel.
Mhm.
And I felt like it was a really good job by Leon. I think it's Hyung Dyok. Yeah, forgive me if I butcher some of these names, but I'm gonna try. But all right. So my only nitpick here: come on, train attendee that's letting everyone on the train, because not seeing the infected girl. Number one, it's a gigantic open ass area. And number two, like maybe it was just my dubbed version, but she was loud as shit. Like so I'm not really buying that one necessarily, that she snuck on the train like that. But so that's my first little nitpick of the movie there.
Yeah, so right off the bat, like you said, Brian, you get really good character development, and that very first opening scene, I really enjoy the effects with the deer as well. So on this rewatch, it really hooked me in, that deer. And I don't really know why, because again, most of the time, zombie movies, I'm kind of expecting same old, you know what I mean? And for whatever reason, this just worked. It really got me in to figure out, oh, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, obviously something leaked or something happened. Like same old, but something about the way it was done, the music, the way those effects look, I really did like that. And again, you get an impression very early on that the father-daughter relationship here is very strained. He's a very business-oriented guy and doesn't quite have enough time for his family. He's juggling all of that. And you feel bad for both, in my opinion, because yes, he could be a better father, but he's also, I do think he's trying. And so it makes him a little bit of a sympathetic character sometimes. Now, he's not the whole time, but that's what makes his character so interesting and dynamic. It's just the fact that he is, I do think, trying, but maybe not quite hitting the mark. And you feel bad for Sue, who I do, the child actor who I don't have her name in front of me. She does a phenomenal job. Like, I want to commend her for this entire role. I think she plays it so well. God, the way she conveys her emotions is so good. And the stuff with the train, I love the way a lot of that shot. I think in the aesthetic that you get in that early, train station, the way it's lit and everything is just so good. Like, there's just a lot of good here. Like Brian, but not quite in the same way. I did kind of go at the way we got the infected girl on the train, but everything else around it is so good. I don't care. Like, it did not affect my viewing experience. And I know you're not saying that, but I mean, the way that she got on the train, that's neither here nor there at this point, because the effects of her, first of all, the acting, the portrayal right there by the girl that's infected is so good. Like, the way she's kind of limping and like convulsing and everything is so good. And the effects where she goes full on zombie, I think is also really, really well done. So a lot to like in these opening scenes, with a very, very tiny nitpick about how we get an infected person on this train. But man, everything after this is what it leads to is so worth it. So no biggie on my end.
All right, so yeah, the opening scenes, they do a really good job of telling a story in a hurry. You feel like you know the entire dynamic of this family within the first 5 minutes, and you're instantly empathetic, if not sympathetic, with the situation. You've got a dad that clearly works too much, that's detached from reality when it comes to raising children. He relies on everyone else, including his mom and his coworkers, to help watch the kids or tell them what kids like. And then you just feel that disappointment when she opens the Wii and she doesn't say a word. She just looks up at another Wii sitting on the table there, or on the entertainment center. And so you really feel that dynamic, like you're a part of the family. Now, one of the very few nitpicks that I have about this movie is that it's actually something that I don't know if it even can be a nitpick, because I don't know the Korean culture. I don't know. So what I mean by that is, if he's so wrapped up in his work and he doesn't have time for anyone, why does he have custody? Now, I don't think they're divorced, because he still says his wife, or they still refer to her as his wife, and everything. But why is he raising this daughter if he clearly can't make time for her? Maybe that's part of the Korean culture. I know in America, almost 9 times out of 10, the mother is going to get custody as long as she's a fitting parent. So that's something that was confusing to me, but it may just be the norm. I don't know. And to go right along with that, I can't really question, like you said earlier, I can't really question the acting, because I don't know. I don't speak Korean, so I don't know if they're delivering their lines in a way that seems natural, or if they seem like they're reading, But also, the same token, I don't know if some of the phrases that they say in this movie, in America, we're just like, nobody talks like that. But I don't know. I don't know the dialect. I don't know the common dialogue in Korea. I'm assuming that this is South Korea, but I guess I should have looked at a map beforehand. But I just don't know the dynamic of that culture, so I can't really critique it. It's not even really a nitpick. And I will say this, as far as you saying the way that the infected person got on the train is not believable. In this setting, maybe, because there at least was an attendant there. But I'll tell you this. I've been to Baltimore multiple times and taken the Amtrak down to D.C., and usually I'll buy a ticket, but 8 out of 10 times there's not even a attendee at the checking tickets or taking tickets. So pretty much anyone that wants to ride that train can ride it. So it is actually believable someone could get on a train. But you're right. She was standing right there, and that person was making a lot of noise as she stumbled upon the train. So maybe it's not believable in this setting. But overall, I think it's a great set of scenes to set the tone. You get the infected person right off of the bat in these first 2 scenes, so you know what you're getting into. And I like that they don't rush into it. You see the stuff. You kind of see you get the vibe that the world is in turmoil outside the train, but I love how it's a slow burn in the train. You get one person, and it's kind of like, how fitting is it that we watch this, and given the climate of 2020, where we got a pandemic where all it would take is one person with COVID to spread it to a train full of people. Hopefully it doesn't turn everybody into zombies, but I like that slow burn. It starts with one person, she bites another person, who bites another person. Now, the other thing that is, again, it's not really a critique, but it's just it's different than what we've seen in the past, is these zombies don't seem to eat. They're just hell-bent on biting, and that's it. So, if you watch like The Walking Dead, for instance, those zombies will feast, and then it's the people that are bit that turn into zombies, but not eaten, or the people that die, they come back as zombies. These, it just seems like they're content just taking a bite and turning, and they have no desire to eat. So that's different than other zombie movies and zombie stories that I'm accustomed to. But overall, great set of scenes to set the tone and get the ball rolling for what's going to be, like you said, Nico, an emotional ride.
Oh, yeah.
Brains.
Hey, before you go again, Nico, that's something I noticed too, Dustin, was they're not really, in a lot of zombie movies, you do get the fact, you get a group of zombies and they're kind of eating the person that they're about, instead of just infecting them. This is just like I don't know exactly how it goes down, but all they do is kind of bite and infect, and now we're gathering more people. So yep. As part of their zombie army or whatever you want to call them. So I thought that was kind of a cool, unique way to do it than, how it's normally done.
Oh, yeah. The girl attacks the attendee and the baseball team looks on in fear. The attendee now becomes a zombie. Chaos ensues as people flee from all the zombie attacks. Seok looks for his daughter Sue-Ann and someone yells for him to run. Seok now sees these zombies attacks. He turns around, grabs his daughter and runs away as these zombies chase him. Sang pulls a zombie off a woman and locks it in a bathroom. He asks his pregnant wife if she can run. The chase continues. The zombies calm down when they block the window off with newspaper. Sang is pissed he shut the door on them. The conductor tells them they will not be stopping due to the situation. Yeon-suk tells him to stop regardless. Seok's mom calls him and she sounds sick as well. She becomes a zombie and hangs up. Seok looks very shaken right now. The train starts to halt and we see these zombies attacking all the people outside. They look on in horror. We get a state of emergency declaration on the news. The people on the train panic as they read messages on their phones. Seok sits Sue-Ann down to call her mom. Seok tells his daughter, at a time like this, only worry about yourself. She tells him that Granny's knees always hurt. That's why she gave up her seat to the old lady. Conductor, they are stopping at Daejeon because the military is there to protect them. Seok walks off to make a call. Sang asks her if that's her dad and what he does for a living. He calls him a bloodsucker and she agrees. He's like a fun assistant or something like that. Seon gives her a treat, then introduces her to Sleepy, their child-to-be. She jokes that her daddy's too lazy to name her yet. Sue-Ann feels the baby kick, and Sang tells her that he made that. Seok calls and asks about military being at the next train station. He learns that they'll be quarantined. He's told to take the East Square and not the main one. He then finds the homeless man still saying all dead in a chair. All right, go ahead, Brian. That was the next two scenes I wrote down.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a little nitpick or what, but in like Dustin said, maybe it's a culture thing. But when they found Chow Gui-ha, the homeless dude in the bathroom, why the hell are they just like they have no issue at all with Sue-Ann just busting up in there? I mean, this is clearly a dangerous situation, but this little girl she just busts up there. Nobody's worried about her safety or cares that she's just right there on the front lines with this train attendee and the other asshole guy and somebody that they don't know, if he's infected, if he's a danger to them whatsoever. So I kind of, I definitely, that stood out to me a little bit. I thought the visuals with the girl sitting up behind the train attendee girl were really good. I mean, that was an awesome holy shit moment. Obviously, shit's really about to hit the fan. And this is the first time, and you guys were talking about the eating and the biting being a little bit different, but this is also the first time you really get to see how fast these zombies turn, like after being bit. And I loved that in this movie because, like that, it gives it its own little niche. And the few zombie movies that I do like have their own little thing like that. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was also a pretty damn awesome when all the mayhem started breaking out again. Like, I think it's very well done acting and just slow clap to the makeup department in this film because the makeup's tremendous in this movie. I will say it did crack me up how, for example, there's happened a few times, but that one dude, there's one dude running through the train screaming about zombies and almost nobody cares. Just everybody's like, just minding their own business. Nobody's like, what's going on? What's going on? It's just everybody's like, man, whatever. And it takes a lot for these other people to start actually giving a crap what's going on. They're otherwise just pretty much minding their own business on the train. And I'll say this, it stood out to me too, that YouTube video that they're watching when those things like fall off the helicopter. I really enjoyed this whole montage because, again, I'm going to compare it to the 03 Dawn of the Dead remake where, like, yes, it is secluded and isolated to like one singular spot for the majority of the movie, but it's scenes like this that open up that world and let you feel how it's like a worldwide thing or happening without spending those millions and millions on showing you that it's worldwide, if that makes sense. Lastly, Ma Dong-seok playing Sang, the guy with the pregnant wife. Definitely my favorite character in this whole movie. He was actually nominated for an Asian Film Award for Best Supporting Actor for this. And a little tidbit was actually the main character, Seok, who's played by Yoon Gong. his personal trainer in real life, which makes sense because that dude is jacked. But he's
Yes.
definitely he's definitely my favorite guy.
Yeah, I just kind of want to start because I didn't know if you guys knew this was coming or not, but his pregnant wife can call me sometime. All right, anyway, so
Oh my god, that's the first pregnant lady to get that. By the way,
well, you know,
Hey, Jen, he can call me too. Whew.
yes. That's also yeah. So okay, a lot of what you already said, Brian, I have wrote down. So let me just kind of try to skim through a little bit of this. The effects where you see the Tindy get attacked by the zombie is, I think, really, really cool. Like that holy shit moment because strikes quick, bites the neck. Like I think it's so well done, so well shot. And the fear from the like the kind of like delayed fear from the people on the train is really, really like really cool to me. Like really different from what you would normally get, in my opinion. Just that like, wait, what the fuck is happening? What the fuck is happening? And then shit starts to hit the fan. Like stuff starts going crazy. And, you mentioned the stuff with a little girl in the bathroom. I'm going to try not to say that many names so I don't butcher them. But, the interaction with her and Sang, I agree with you, Brian. Probably my favorite character. So all of that stuff that happens in this little area, I like. But her kind of, her reaction coming out of the bathroom to all the chaos ensuing, I think is just really a cool perspective to see, because a lot of times you just don't get that kid's perspective in a movie like this. And you're like, the way she tells the story with her eyes, that fear is really well done. And the interaction between Sang and I'm gonna say Sang and Song, even though it sounds kind of anyway. But the interaction between the husband and the wife, I love that. I love the dynamic. I love the character. I love the two sisters that you get here. And this is kind of the introduction of the characters where we're going to be spending a lot of the time. And I like this chunk of scenes because, again, we're getting all hell is breaking loose, and we're getting some dynamic characters that we're about to spend the next hour and 15 minutes with. And I think it's really well done. I don't have a lot of notes on it per se, but just the fact that they're able to hook me in with a lot of this. And like you said, the character acting here by some of these people, it's just really, really done, or excuse me, really, really well done. And the effects department, like you said, round of applause, because the way they made these zombies up and the acting by the people who play these zombies is really, really fucking good. I have, no qualms about that. They're really believable looking zombies to me. So job well done on that.
Hey, Dustin, before you go,
Yeah.
Mike, I just wanted to touch on what you said about the sisters. That's what's so great about this movie. It's like you don't get a lot of time with these sisters, but in the next couple of scenes,
Yes,
with the sisters, oh my God, that's that's what makes this movie so great. The relationship that you have with the characters, even if they're not the main characters,
right.
so powerful. But go ahead, Dustin. I just had to
Absolutely.
say that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I want to piggyback off that real quick before I go back to the top of my notes. So, yeah, you don't spend a lot of time with any, like, you kind of just ping pong around this train, and you don't get a lot of dialogue between any of them at one time, but you just feel connected to them, and that's how you write a movie. That's how you make a movie. What was the runtime on this? Let me look that up real quick. So the runtime on this movie is an hour and 58 minutes. Okay, it is a longer movie, but had they spent the time to develop these characters like some American films would do, this movie would easily be 2.5 hours long. But they did it in a hurry, and you automatically just feel this connection to some characters. You hate certain characters, and that's just brilliant film writing. Yeah, so I don't have a lot of notes on these scenes other than what you guys already touched on. So I'm just going to go through mine pretty quickly here. To go back to the homeless man, that guy really acted his ass off in that role. First of all, I want to say, because he seemed like, is he infected? Because this guy's unstable at best, and who's to say that we would act any different if he's seen the shit that he has seen? He snuck on the train, got there in a hurry because everyone was dead. But at the same token, you're on a train, you got a kid and a pregnant wife, and you're just like trusting him. They were way too trusting with him. Let's just put it that way. then, Brian, what you said, you like how the turning time, like, when you're bit in this film, you turn pretty quickly. It was inconsistent, though. Most of the people, when they were bit, yeah, it was an instant transition. But you go back to the first turn, she was convulsing on the floor for a long time before she stood up and, revealed her eyes, and we saw that she had turned to a zombie. At the end of the movie, the last two characters, they took forever to turn. But like everyone in between, basically, everyone in between was a quick turn time. So I would have liked to know why, because if you're going to do something like that in a film, you have to have a why. Like, this person had more iron in their diet, so it took them longer to turn. Something, I don't know. But we never got that, which I don't need it. Very minor nitpick. I don't want to sit here and just love all over this movie like I'm already doing.
Well, I think I don't want to interrupt you, man.
No, go
I think just my take on it, like I think obviously real world explanation, it's for the script. Obviously, we all know that. Right. But in world explanation, and I think I want to say, I do not remember, but I want to say we had this kind of discussion on the Dawn of the Dead remake one that we had, or that we talked about. But it's almost like I took it as the severity of the bite. Like, some of them took longer because I said, oh, okay, well, they just got bit on the hand, so maybe it takes longer to turn them, but some of them who got really violently, like, ripped into, like, boom, they were instant almost. So that's just, I don't know, that was my headcanon for that anyway.
Yeah, and that would make perfect sense. But and I don't want to keep going back to The Walking Dead, but let's be real. When you're talking about zombies, you have to talk about The Walking Dead. You have to at least acknowledge it because it's the biggest zombie phenomenon that's ever hit the world. But
shout out to Lou Temple,
friend of the show. But yeah, in The Walking Dead, they do explain the whole turning process. And now, granted, they've had what feels like 39 seasons to explain it, and we got 2 hours in this movie,
right?
But still, just touch on it at least, I guess. But yeah, Sang Hua was definitely all of our favorite characters. I think that's a safe bet. Just phenomenal acting. He's a very likable guy. And it's crazy because with his size, they could have made him an asshole. Like, he just looks like this guy's going to be a douchebag just because how big he is. That's no offense to anyone that's big and intimidating, but he seems like he's probably an asshole. But he was the nicest guy. He was the best character. And then last thing I want to do or touch on that you guys didn't mention was I just want to give even more props to the effects team. Zombies are a tough thing to portray because you can either make it look good or you can make it look hokey. And I feel like the effects team in this movie, or for this film, they did a good job of making it look believable and making it look scary without very much effort. Like, they didn't go over the top with a lot of things. Now, some of the people, when you see the turning happening and you see the veins all the way up through their neck and their head, like, yeah, that was a great special effects. But they had a certain simplicity to just when you're seeing the horde of zombies that are already turned. I'm sure it took forever, and I'm sure they spent a lot of money on the effects, but they could have overdone that. They could have made it look just absolutely hokey and stupid, and they didn't. And I want to applaud them for that.
Yeah, that was one of my nitpicks too, Dustin, which I'm sure it's all everyone's, is just how long it took, the differences in length between how long some person became infected or not. But Brian's point was, very believable, and that makes a lot of sense because the girl getting on the train, like, she tried to put a tourniquet on her leg and all that. So that makes sense that the severity of the bite, expedites the infection or whatever. So that makes sense.
Yeah, or even location of the bite, because it seems like it's affecting the brain and that's what's turning. So maybe the further away from the brain, the longer the turn time. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but that was definitely one of my nitpicks too. All right, they get to the station and no one is there. Yon-suk exits first and everyone proceeds slowly after him in caution. Yon-suk tells the conductor they need to take the engine car separately. He's the COO of Stallion Express, and everything to Daejeon is rerouted due to quarantine. He says Busan is still open. The conductor wants to check the station first. They start to enter the train station. Seok grabs Sue Ann, and they take a different exit. She asks why, and then the homeless man wants to follow them. He overheard the call and wants to follow because he doesn't want to quarantine. Sue Ann says she will go tell the others, and then, the dad says that it's only about us. And then she says he only cares about himself, and that's why mommy left. That's the first scene that kind of like hit me right in the heart a little bit. The rest go down the escalator and see the military there has all become zombies and attack them. Seok turns around because his guys' men aren't there. They're not answering anymore. Sang saves Sue Ann from attack. Chaos as everyone tries to survive. The baseball team seals off the door, but homeless man helps Seok and he makes it out of the room. They hold off the door, but there's too many zombies. They run back out and board the train. Zombies crash through the window and begin attacking. The two sisters are safe, but they're separated now, and the homeless man makes it just in time. Yeon Suk says they must leave now, but Jin Hee says all her friends still aren't on board. They tell the conductor they must leave now. The baseball team and two dads have to chase the train down. The team all gets attacked except Yongguk. Yongguk, Seok, and Sang make it on board just in time. The control tells the conductor they will clear a path to Busan. Seong has the homeless man, Sue Ann, the sister, and herself lodged into a bathroom for protection. Conductor says no stops until Busan. Jin Hee gets a call from Yongguk that he's still alive. Sang gets a call from his wife. They're in a washroom in car 13. Yongguk tells them people are safe in car 15. Yongguk, Sang, and Seok all get armored up and weapons to proceed to the next cars. They open the door and battle on. And I wrote, Sang is a bad mofo leading the way as they fight the zombies. They make it through the first car and seal it off. The next car has all the baseball teammates, and Yongguk is frozen with emotion. They get to a tunnel and notice the zombies can't see and quit attacking them. Some baseballs fall to the ground, and they leave them alone and follow the noise. They proceed as they exit the tunnel. All right, Brian, go ahead. That's the next two scenes I got, brother.
Yeah, so there's a lot of really good tension built up when you first get to Daejeon Station, with nobody being around, just abandoned. It definitely does a good job with tension because you know something is coming, but it also it straddles that thin line of like you don't want to drag it on too much before the action's coming because as an audience member, you know it's coming. So I think they do a great job of especially the amount of time it takes before the shit hits the fan there. Yeah, definitely a touching scene with Sue Ann saying her dad, only cares about himself. And I wrote this sentence like before I watched the end of the movie, but I left it in because it kind of really, really speaks to his, character arc in this movie for sure. But I wrote, and I really hope that his ass changes because he's the fucking terrible dad and just constantly leaves her ass by herself. Which is true at this point, especially, and if not for Sang, her ass would have been zombie food right here in this scene, which, look, I'm going to say she might have deserved a little bit. I know. But the way she just stands there, she just fucking stands there. But okay, we'll just go with, she's paralyzed from fear or something, I guess. But anyway, I was like, God dang, move, run, do something, shit. You just stood there. Yeah. But anyway, the military scene where they're being chased by the soldiers, that totally reminded me of 28 Weeks Later scene when they're all running over that hill and all those fucking zombies are just booking it behind them. And that's my favorite scene of that movie. And so this definitely like hit the same chords right there. Just awesome visual cinematography there. Also love the role reversal with Sang holding the door open for Seok and vice versa, getting back on the train. Look, this is a very little thing, but there's a ton of and Dustin kind of touched on this a minute ago. There's a ton of character development in just that little piece of acting that didn't even it didn't even take dialogue to do. Like you instantly know their relationship is healed without any dialogue between the two of them. I think it's a great action. Obviously, like I said, a great action sequence here with those hordes of zombies, like they're fighting to get over each other. Visuals, effects, I thought looked top notch here, especially like I said earlier for the budget. And lastly, and it's not really a nitpick, but I absolutely appreciate the bad-assedness of this whole scene. Bad-assedness, if that's a word. But where they're fighting, up to car 13. But they didn't even entertain crawling up top. I've seen Harrison Ford on plenty of movies try to crawl up top of a moving train like that. So, and
Dude,
Also, a little
you
nit.
expect him to be Indiana Jones? Come on.
I mean, look, nobody's Indiana Jones, but at least talk about it and say, hell no, I'm not Indiana Jones. I'm not doing that. And then I would have been happy. But so also a little nitpick I'm going to say is I think that there's too many instances of them. Not okay. And this is kind of a nitpick of mine in fight movies. And we don't really go over a lot of fighting movies anyway, but there's a lot of instances in this scene in particular where like, they're not getting gang attacked. It's almost like each zombie waits their turn before attacking. You know, I mean, and so the fight looks cool and the choreography looks amazing, but that stands out to me in every fight movie that I see anyway. It's like, all right, if y'all all just fucking jump him at one time, this is ball game. But, you know, obviously it's for the movie, but that, like I said, so it's kind of a nitpick, but it's not really. But look, still a badass fight scene. Again, choreography was amazing and Sang is a badass.
Yeah, so before I get into the breakdown of the actual scenes, this set is, and he's been a jerk the whole time, but this is really the first time I wanted to knock the block off of what is that, Yun Suk? Is that how you say that?
I believe so.
Yeah.
The businessman?
Yes.
Yeah, Yon Suk.
Okay, I want to punch him in the
that
fucking
guy.
face, okay? And he was a jerk before this, but I mean, this set of scenes is really where you start to kind of like say, hey, elbow to the nose, fuck you, hope you get bit, because he really tries to take over the entire thing like a selfish asshole. And again, it's just another character, but it's a good development. Like, I don't mind having another character with this much dimension. And, you know, you kind of get a little bit of a look, it's not redemptive in any way, but you get a little something different with him later, and it makes his character even more interesting. So I really do. I like that we have another. Normally, it's a nitpick of mine to add another villain to a movie with a bunch of zombies, but I really do think it works here. So, as far as the set of scenes go, I really, really, really like this. I like all the, you know, the arrival at the train station, and you kind of touched on it, Brian, where a lot of the relationships get healed here, or at least everyone's cool. Not necessarily like everyone really loves each other, but there's a lot of like, all right, we're on the same page. We have to fight off these motherfuckers to save everybody. And you get that moment between father and daughter where he realizes she's right. I've been wrong this entire time. It's not all about us. It's about everyone else. You know, it's not just about me. It's not just about you. We have to, you know, we're in this together. And I really like that arc, that character arc. And the badassedness, as Brian said, of a lot of this is very true. The fighting, the shot of the military where they're walking down those steps and the whole military is basically zombies at this point is fucking awesome. Like, what a cool shot. Just badass, as Brian said. Like, it's so well done. The suspense, the holy shit, what are they going to do now to get out of this moment that I had watching it? It's every time it's like, whoa. And I love all that. And one more thing about, and I know he was talking about the stuff on the train, but I thought that was badass as well. But when they're back on the train and they're just going to go game busters on this shit, fucking fill the whole thing with uppercuts, I think it's awesome. And I know there's probably a better way out, man, but I'm glad they didn't do that because it was a badass scene. You get Sang, who again is just a freaking badass, just beating the piss out of everybody. The baseball bat, I think that's a really, like, the weapon works for this set of scenes because again, it's a baseball team, and I think it works really well. And you get character redemption a little bit up to this point for Siak, where you like him, but you don't really. But I'm not like emotionally invested in his character. This is where you realize he's putting it all on the line to make sure his daughter makes it through this, and this is just a really good set of scenes because from this point on, we're ratcheting everything up. Like, this is when the military comes up, or the zombie military comes up the escalators. This is where you really start to just turn the volume up on an already intense film. And, well, like Brian said, they don't wait too long. They drag it out just enough, and then bam, they hit you, and we're on full go here. And I think the emotion in the baseball car the way that's delivered and the way they figure out a way to get out of that, I think is really good too. So really good set of scenes. Not a whole lot of bad set of scenes in this movie. So nothing to complain about here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, the emotion at that train station where you've got family being separated from family and friends being separated from friends. I mean, that really does a great job of building the tension. And then you immediately find out that, or just how much Yeon Suk sucks. Like you guys said, I mean, he's already an unlikable character, but in this set of scenes is where he really starts exuding that Barry from Belko experiment vibes, where he's all about saving himself. Fuck everyone else. We'll sacrifice whoever we have to. I'm going to live. And so that's who you do not want to surround yourself with in a situation like this, because that just shows he's willing to turn on whoever he's looking out for number one, when your best chances of survival statistically or with a group of people that you can rely on. And so I thought they did a great job of expanding his character there and making him just the douche that he is. And then, you get on the train. Man, I don't know about you guys, but I'd almost risk it being out there with the zombies. I would not want to be holed up in a bathroom with a hobo, because I'm sure that he smelled like 8 cans of shark shit, and I do not need that in my life. So I'd almost rather take my chances. But the scene where the train doors open and you've got Sang and the baseball player and Seok, standing there all armored up, that's a badass scene. Like, just the optic of that gives one of those vibes, like, they're about to whoop some ass. And that's exactly what they did. And I love the convenience factor. It's brilliant writing to put a baseball team on this train in this movie, because you've got an excuse to get lazy and have weapons conveniently lying around, right? Like, a lot of times you would, in movies, we would criticize because, oh, okay, sure, that just happens to be there. But no, you got a baseball team. Like, this makes so much sense. I love it. And
and you're right. Like, I bet you that they were like, motherfucker, like, where are they going to get weapons? And like, so they had to. That's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah, I mean, it made too much sense, because you got saying when he was running trying to catch up to the train, he swoops over and picks up the police shield or whatever. So he got one weapon, but that's not enough. And so I like how they did that. And it also sets up for later when the baseballs fall out of the bag. Like, that's just another reason a cheap, easy way to create some sound to distract the zombies. And, one minor nitpick that I have, actually, this is probably the biggest one that I have, is I feel like the darkness angle wasn't exploited enough. And what I mean by that is, if I'm on this train, right, and I know that darkness is your ally, like Bane, what you need to do is just find somewhere that you can wait it out until the sun goes down. They didn't try that at all. That never even crossed their mind. Like, they were just going through the tunnels and, okay, let's move. But to me, if I'm a character in this movie, I'm telling my compadres, hey, we need to just find like a public restroom, lock ourselves in there, and then when we'll set a timer on our phone. When we know it's dark outside, then we will haul ass to wherever we can. But that wasn't even game plan. That's fine though. It's fine. It's not a nitpick at all.
Hey,
it's just
can I debate that real quick?
Yes.
And not to do it just to do it, but I think the reason that the three didn't do that is because they're the only three that kind of figured that out at first. And you got to think, one of them's going after a pregnant wife, daughter, and a possible girlfriend. They don't know that yet, so if they just hide out, they can't go protect them and save them.
No,
but you are right. Once they should have just stayed in them damn washrooms until dark time.
Well, I didn't mean necessarily right here. I'm just saying, like, they figured out the darkness angle. Then when they catch up to their people, which I get, they had, the sister was up in the other cart. The rest of the baseball team fan, she was up there, so the baseball player wanted to get to her. So they were still going to be leaving people behind. But I would at least discussed it once you get the main group there together. Like, hey, this is what we need to do. We need to find a way that when we catch up to the others, when we get off this train, we need to haul ass, hide somewhere we can lock the door, wait till dark. But that's okay. It's just me finding something to nitpick. That's all that is.
You've merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. Sorry, terrible. That was terrible. Terrible Bane. Terrible Bane.
One thing I wanted to say before we go to the next two scenes is, like, this movie is just a basic zombie movie to me up until Sue Ann tells her dad that this is, she calls him out for being selfish, and you kind of get the feelings. You're like, oh, whoa, what's going on here? Why do I have feelings right now in a zombie movie? Then you get the fight scene, which was awesome, like y'all mentioned. Like, the second half of the movie kind of ties all. We're gonna get into it, but I kind of feel like it was just a basic zombie movie up until Sue Ann calls her daddy out on being selfish. You're like, ooh, my heartstrings. Uh-oh, something's not. This ain't right.
And I did want to go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say you just reminded me of something I meant to touch on. I didn't put it in my notes, but I want to touch on because Mike mentioned it. So, we have realized that he's not the best dad. He keeps leaving his daughter alone, essentially, and whatever. But I think that this movie is a redemption story because it really let him put things into perspective, and you see it. It's not just that it's implied or that he tells her eventually. You physically see him go through this transformation or this realization where he comes to know just how much he loves his daughter, just how much he's neglected her and abandoned, taken her for granted throughout the past however long it's been. And I appreciate that because that's an acting job. He conveyed that without saying it, and that was a great job by him in this film.
All right, they see even more zombies in the next car. Seok gets Sang's phone and uses his phone as a noise decoy on the zombies when they get to the next tunnel. He calls the phone and they all chase the noise and they sneak past them. They get to them in the washroom but hide in the washroom across from them when they exit the tunnel. They joke about Sang's goofy ringtone. They find more tunnels on the map. Sang tells Seok when she gets older that his daughter will appreciate all the hard work and dads get all the shit and no praise. Jin-hee gets a text they're safe as she tells the others. Yeon-suk doesn't believe it. He goes off and doesn't believe that they're not infected. She pleads with the train attendee, and we see the other sister sad by herself in the back. They make it through the tunnel and exit the washrooms. They climb on top of the luggage racks. Seok throws some luggage to distract them so they can climb down. The homeless man slips as he steps down onto the what is it called? The headrest of the chair. They fall down and him and Seok hide. They saying he kind of whispers to him, "Come on now." They run full speed to the door, or they go to run, but the man steps on a soda can, attracting them. They run full speed to the door, and Sang holds them off, but Yeon-suk won't let them open the door for their safety. Seok goes back to hit the zombies as Sang holds the door, and they start to smash the door. A zombie bites Sang's hand, and they finally break the door to get to the next car, but Yeon-suk holds them off. The sister sees her other sister, but is pushed away by the people. Sang tells Seok to take the wife and go. Take care of her, okay? And he'll hold them off. Seok cries and runs off with her. Sang names their baby as they run off, and golly, that was so painful to watch. Sang fights them to spare them time. Sang is overtaken by zombies, and they overpower Yeon-suk holding the door. Seok goes to save the sister, but she's attacked by a zombie. Seok gets the door closed just in time. Seok punches Yeon-suk. It says, "We could have saved them." He calls Seok infected. The train attendee makes them go to the vestibule by themselves. The rest of the crowd tells them to get out. The group all goes to the vestibule now. Seok stares at Yeon-suk as he passes him by. It's kind of a "this could have been me" moment. They tie the door off, and the sister is in the back broken. She sees her sister among the zombies. She goes to the door, and she has a little, she stares at her sister and has a little heart-to-heart moment by herself. She goes to the door and lets the zombies in the car with them, and Yeon-suk notices at the last minute. All right, Brian, go ahead, bro. That's my next two scenes I got.
Okay, so this is where you guys probably are going to disagree with me big time, but this particular scene is my least favorite in the whole movie. It's the exchange in the bathroom between Sang and Seok. Look, I understand you're wanting to further the character development, and I understand that you're taking Seok's character and you've got him on this character arc, and I get that. But to me, like that whole scene with the comedy lines from Sang, and it's just, to me, it felt forced and a little bit out of place to me. My second nitpick here, right off the bat, is didn't he say that they only had a 2-minute window to once they're in the tunnel? Like it would take you 2 minutes just to even get up on that luggage rack to me. So to me, look, I did not find that very believable. It's little, but I'm here for the nitpicks. I can be Petty Kruger tonight. That's fine. I will give big time props to the writers, because of, and we've touched on a little bit before with Yeon Suk. He's played by Kim Yu Song. Look, because by the way, they very quickly, everyone on board is very quickly on board to fuck this rescue group over, and they have that whole elaborate shirt barricade done very damn quickly. I will say that. But in this moment, I really hate this guy, and I know Mike hated him earlier. But this was a scene where I really hated this guy. And to me, that's great writing. Anytime I feel that hatred towards a character, and I'm supposed to, I really credit the writers on that, because I think they did a great job. Very touching sacrifice scene with my man saying, look, you definitely saw it coming, but it was very well done. And if you're a savvy movie watcher, you know it's coming. The writers know you know it's coming, so you can't mess that up. And they didn't. And I don't mind that it's telegraphed, because they did such a good job with it. And lastly, I just wanted to say that I loved the sister letting in all those zombies. I was like, man, fuck every one of those people in that car. And that was like the most satisfying shit that I've seen. And I was like, oh man, I love this scene. I loved it. And a lot of the satisfaction probably was because you thought Yeon Suk was dead. Spoiler alert. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great slow motion shot of all the shit that was going on. So again, just props for that too.
Yep. I agree with a lot of what you said there. I love how they kind of find their way. Like I like all the action and the fighting stuff from the previous set, but I love that they find some different ways to kind of trick the zombies or whatever. It's creative than just beating the shit out of everyone. So I did enjoy that too. I like exactly what you said, Brian. That slow motion, I'm kind of skipping around here, but that, because it's the most recent thing you said, that slow motion shot of them, of, the sister letting all the zombies on the car. I agree. What a satisfying ass scene. Again, like you said, really wanted him to be dead, but I'm almost glad he's not, because of what comes later. But I will disagree with you. I like the little bit of levity that we get in the slight amount of comedy, the normal human back and forth between those guys. I kind of like that, but that's just me. I could see where you wouldn't, but I think it added a little bit of levity to a very tense, serious situation. And I know that's not for everybody, but I thought it was actually kind of nice to have. But man, the sacrifice from Sang, again, I didn't know who was going to sacrifice themselves. I had a feeling, but I didn't quite know which one of these were going to be the first to go. And I think that, man, what a scene. Just rip your freaking heart out, man. Because again, we all kind of attested to, this is our favorite character. And it was tough, man, even for me. And he has a pregnant wife. And so again, you're emotionally invested in this story and these characters. I want them all to survive and live. And that sacrifice, you knew he'd probably be the first one to sacrifice himself over everybody else, because again, he was clearly willing to beat the shit out of everyone for the good of the people that were still alive. But I thought that was just so well done, well shot, well acted, well everything. Just a really well written part. Again, like you said, a little, that can be predictable, but man, it was good. Like it's not the time that I teared up, but I will say I came pretty damn close to having a little tear up moment here. So job well done. And, letting all the way through letting the zombies in the car, a lot of that made me tear up, where, the sisters see each other and it's too late, and just rip your heart from your chest type stuff, man. Just so emotionally invested, and again, you know, a lot of the sad stuff is coming, but it's a heart wrenching. And again, this movie, like I said in the beginning, it got a lot of the horror stuff right, but even the non-scary stuff, just that the made you invest in the story going on around it. It's just, man, it's so good, so good.
Yeah. So first of all, you know, the scene where he essentially sacrifices Sang's cell phone. You know, I'm pissed off I'd be if someone just like, let me see your phone.
Yeah, I said that too.
Let me put my number in, and I'm just going to throw it and use it as a distraction, especially when I got a pregnant wife on the train. I mean, that was kind of a dick move there. The homeless man, you want to talk about a liability. My Lord. That man, he's almost got him killed twice in this one scene. But I will say it was kind of hilarious to me when he stepped on the Coke can, because there's not been trash anywhere on this train. And then it just so happens that the one Coke can that's in the floor, he steps on. It was kind of like one of those ruh-roh raggy moments. Like it was Shaggy and Scooby trying to sneak away, and they step on a Coke can. That was hilarious to me. I'm pretty good about a Scooby-Doo reference on every episode, I've noticed.
Very true.
You know, I will say, Brian, you're 100% right. I did see that Sang was going to sacrifice himself. I even queued up the Creed, My Sacrifice, to play in the background when he did it. But, you know, I did see it coming. But the trick is, as a filmmaker, when you know that the audience is going to see it coming, you still don't want it to be a letdown, and they got it right. They still delivered. They still kicked you. They kicked your emotions right in the nuts with this one, because for them to, you know, he's going to kill him. He's going to end up sacrificing himself for the greater good. But just that little where he gives the baby's name is like, oh, fuck, I forgot about that. You know, that's a callback to earlier in the film. I forgot the baby didn't even have a name. And here he's like, does one last dramatic. Oh, that was very powerful, the way he went out there. And it just sucked, because if there's one person on this train that you feel like deserves to survive, it's him, because no one else is as selfless as him, and no one else has contributed as much to the survival as him. And for him to be the one that goes out like that was tough. And then last thing I'll say on the set of scenes is the sister opening the door and letting the zombies in. That was rough, because you can see the pain on her face when she's sitting there, and then she sees her sister who's been turned into a zombie. And then, so you're looking at someone who has perhaps lost everything. We don't know the family dynamic there. We know that they're sisters, but is that her only family? Is that her everything that she has in life? And just to see her looking at with that pain in her eyes, and then for her to say, you know what? You motherfuckers behind me in this car, you're the reason I've just lost everything. So fuck y'all. Like that was a big empowering moment when she opened that train and just sacrificed everyone, because they deserved it, assholes. Because even if they didn't, even if they weren't the ones that were keeping them out, they were complicit. They sided with dickhead. And so I don't think that's his official name, but you get what I'm saying. And so, yeah, that was a very powerful scene as well. I get what you're saying, Brian, about this being your least favorite set of scenes. And I'll be honest with you, when you said that, I had to think about it. It's probably mine too. But that's not a knock on these set of scenes in my book, though. It just speaks volumes to how great the rest of the movie is. So I can see what you're saying there.
All right, the conductor can't get a hold of control about Busan. The rest sit quietly in the vestibule. Seok tells his daughter he will get her to her mother. She asks if he's scared. She says she was scared she'd never see him again, and she practiced that song just for him, and that's why she quit singing when she didn't see him. Will you stay with me, she asks. Seok gets a call from Kim. He tells him Busan is safe and it started at YS Biotech, the center of their plan. He asks if it has anything to do with us. Seok tells him it's not his fault. He washes his hands and breaks down crying, and the train screeches to a halt. The path is blocked off. The conductor tells them they are waiting on a rescue team or he will find another train to make it to Busan. We see Yeon Suk and another attendee, the train attendee. They're hiding in the washroom. The conductor runs to another car, but it has zombies in it. He now runs to the station to find a safe train. Seok tells them he's heard Busan is safe and they must exit now. The conductor finds an engine that works properly and is safe. Yeon Suk lies to the attendee and pushes him to his death so he can escape. The conductor sees an ablaze train coming at them and hit another train, trapping Seok, Soo-an, Seong, and the homeless man underneath it. Jin-hee and Yong-guk get into a train car, and Yeon-suk gets Jin-hee bit by a zombie. Yong-guk kicks the zombie out the car, but he holds Jin-hee in his arms as he transforms, then attacks him and kills him, basically. And Yeon-suk escapes. Soo-an cries for her daddy to wake up. The car above them is full of zombies. Yeon-suk hurts his ankle as he runs towards the conductor. The conductor goes to help him, but is attacked by the zombies. Yeon-suk boards the moving engine. Seok makes it free, but had to move a barrier for the rest to escape. The homeless man blocks them off from Soo-an and Seong heroically, but the zombies overpower him, killing him and surrounding him. And the next two scenes are the ending. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. I probably have the least amount on this group of scenes, but well, that doesn't mean at all that I didn't enjoy it. But I thought it was a very, very touching moment between Husun and Seok-woo to get this started off with, and here I really felt like, okay, like you took a deep breath, because it feels like here that Seok's character arc is complete. I thought it was a great exchange between him and his daughter there. Obviously, it foreshadows what you get later, but I really felt that moment a lot. And honestly, I probably felt that moment more than the later one, and I'll kind of get into that one a little bit too. But this is just a little funny shit to kind of make fun of myself, but like the conductor when he's on the thing, and you know the mic. And by the way, like I'm sitting here the whole time like, man, if I'm the conductor and I know all this shit's going on behind me and all these things, like I want to know if I'm talking to somebody. Like, is there anybody fucking on there? And I don't know. It's just, this is how my dumbass mind works, because when I put myself on that train and was listening to the conductor like they were listening to it, and when he says, you know, the train to the far left, my mind suddenly went, well, which fucking left? Are you looking this way left, or is you looking that way left? So I don't know. That's just my dumb ass. I just thought, you know, I'd share that. But you know, and I did laugh my ass off a little bit with, and this is the comedy that I kind of liked in here, but the conductor like jumped on that one train, saw that all those zombies, and it was like, oh shit, I'm out. He didn't even really have to say anything. You just saw it in his face. And he was like, shut the door. I don't know. That struck me as funny too. But, and I can't say enough about that damn, the flaming train crash. Oh my God, dude, that was such a beautiful shot. Like that thing came out of nowhere, first of all. And then it's just the slow motion zombies flying around during that whole crash. Like usually it's like quick cut, like show all the mayhem and crash and blah. And this was like slow motion, so you can fucking just enjoy the beautiful bodies flying around the fucking train, dude. I loved it so much. That was probably my favorite shot of this movie. I was like, oh, I even rewound it and I was like, oh, let me watch this carnage again. I loved it so much. But and yeah, Yeon Suk takes, if you thought he was an asshole before, like they were like, man, you guys don't think he's enough of an asshole. Let's write a few more little scenes here. And it was just, he takes 10 steps forward in the asshole book right here, you know, in this set of scenes. But that's all I have.
Yeah, so you touched on something that I meant to say in the last set of scenes. This is the part of the movie where it's almost hard to take notes on it because I get sucked in on every rewatch. So instead of taking fucking good notes, I'm into the story. That's a good nod to the people who wrote this movie, because I mean, it became difficult to take notes on this stuff because I'm invested. And instead of taking, you know, this scene, you know, it's really hard to take copious amounts of notes when I'm just watching the movie, enjoying it. I got that way with Silence of the Lambs too, where it just kind of sucks me in no matter how many times I've seen it. It was kind of hard to take notes on that movie too. So I don't have a ton here, but a lot of just the character arc of Seok is it doesn't come completely full circle here, but you get the redemptive narrative that we all wanted. Like, we don't want this guy to be a bad father. We don't want this guy to be a selfish prick. And we see it early on, deep down. There's a good guy in there, and this is really where you get it. Where, I mean, that scene between him and her is gut wrenching, and it's so powerful and raw and real, and I just love it. I think it's so good. And you mentioned the shot of the train, the cinematography on that, the way they decided to shoot that, where they're falling out of the glass like that one by one out of the glass window. That is so damn good. I love the technical aspect of that. I mean, just awesome. And Yeong Suk, he can go to hell. I haven't said that in a while, but not only can he go to hell, he can go fuck himself. Like, and again, it's almost like at the end, I'll save it, but there's almost like at the end where they try to do a little something different with him. And that's kind of my one nitpick. But I mean, right here, I would have kicked that. I would have, as a group, collectively, picked him up and threw his ass to these zombies just for being such a fucking prick. And the conductor does add some humor. I'm glad you mentioned that. I noticed that as well. But I think from the train crashing and all that, and then the character arc of Sia, you get a lot of good here. And it sets up, which I don't know, you guys may be in disagreements, but the final act here that we're about to talk about is probably my favorite set, just because the emotion gets turned up to a fucking 100. And it's just, there's a lot there, and I'm excited for that. But I like this set of scenes as a lead into that.
Yeah, so I mean, this set of scenes really just furthered my wish for Yeon Suk to meet his demise. I don't know that I can't think of a movie that we've covered that has a more unlikable person who's not he's not the main villain. He's not the killer in this movie. It's the zombies. But this guy's just a prick, from sacrificing Jin Hee the way he did, and then throwing the conductor off the train, betraying the conductor like that. Like, what a bitch. And that's why I said earlier, he really reminded me of Barry from Belko Experiment. Like, he didn't give a F about anyone but himself. The train crash scene, like you guys said, I'm not gonna beat the dead horse too much, but my God, that was beautiful, and just stunning visuals there, the way that they shot it. And then the scene where they're trapped underneath the train car was intense, from the optic of, you can see them pounding on the glass. And, if you remember earlier, when they pound on the glass enough, they're going to get through eventually. And then Siak makes it out, but then the hole's filled, and he's struggling. When he's fighting, getting the hole unplugged there to save his daughter and the other two in his group, there is just the intensity of that scene is crazy. And then you get, this, I don't want to make this this next statement sound like I feel like anybody deserves to die, because that's not what I mean. But I think that it was a great touch to have the homeless man sacrifice himself, because it's kind of one of those things, like, of this group, he has the least to live for. You've got a father who has a daughter that he's trying to protect. And he's also trying to protect a pregnant woman who has a child inside her that needs to live and have a full life. And this homeless man's a homeless man. What's he really got to live for? So it was a good touch by him to just man up and say, "You all go ahead. I'll do the best I can to protect you." So I thought that was powerful right there. And then, yeah, I mean, just this set of scenes just furthered your desire for Siak to make it through, because you're getting that redemption story. Like I said earlier, he had that realization earlier, and you could see it on his face that he has to protect his daughter, and he does love her. He realizes he needs to take better care of her. And this set of scenes really sets the stage of, okay, please God, let them just make it to Busan or wherever the fuck they're going to end up going, because you need them to live happily ever after.
All right, guys, here comes the painful ending. Seok, Soo-An, and I say painful in a great way. I mean, it's not like it's cringy or nothing. Seok, Soo-An, and Seong run fast as they can towards the moving engine. They make it on board as hundreds of zombies pursue them. The zombies all grab onto the train, trying to slow it down and make it on board them. And I thought that was really cool how they were trying to stop the train. That was awesome. Seok gets on the steps and kicks the zombie's hands holding onto the train. Seok opens the engine door, and Yon Suk is in there, and he's become a zombie now. Seok fights Yon Suk to protect the two ladies. Yon Suk says he's scared. Then Seok says he's infected. He tries to throw him overboard, but Yon Suk attacks the ladies. Seok grabs him from behind, but he's bit in the hand. Seok hooks a chain around his waist and then throws Yon Suk off the engine. He pulls himself back onto the engine, and he notices his bite mark, and he looks at his crying daughter. He sits Soo-Ann down and shows Seong how to stop the engine when it's safe to do so. I wrote, now in one of the most heart-wrenching scenes I've ever watched, he looks at his daughter and tells her it's okay and to stay with her no matter what, and it's safe in Busan. She says, don't go, Daddy, it's my fault. Stay with me, please, don't go. He grabs her hand and pulls it away and runs out the train crying. She chases him crying for her daddy. He goes to the back of the engine crying, and he reminisces her birth. We see him start to become infected, and he smiles. We see the daughter crying again at the window. He jumps off the engine, and we see his daughter crying more as Seong holds on to her. The train stops when the path is no longer clear. Seong and Soo-Ann walk through the tunnel, and the military has it scoped out. They aren't able to verify if they have no virus visually and are told to kill them. As he goes to shoot them, they hear Soo-Ann singing her song about her daddy. The military runs toward them. We'll meet again as the flowers bloom, Soo-Ann sings. All right, that's the ending. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so right off the bat, I thought, wow, just great fucking overhead shot of the three. You know, they're running for the train, and then those zombies are like running after them, just and all piling up and basically trying to stop that train, and it's just dragging them. And you know, I gave them credit earlier for doing something new with the how fast, you know, that they turned, and that was a little niche. But goddamn, like I thought this was just so unique. Like it's another scene or another little thing that you haven't seen in a zombie movie ever, and you never knew you needed in a fucking zombie movie until now. Like, you know, it's almost comparable to that shot in World War Z where just, you know, they're all climbing on each other to get to that helicopter. It's just a memorable scene, and that's how I felt about them holding on to the back of that train. I will say before I get into the ending here, one nitpick I did notice when Suok was walking up to the conductor's station, like the head of the train, and the train is supposedly moving. There's nobody's hair is really moving, so either they got some really really good mousse, or they didn't turn the fans on the set that day because nobody's really moving a lot hair anyway. So you can kind of tell that they're not really moving in real life, but. All right, so let me get into this ending scene. Now, obviously a very touching scene. But you know, in my book, there's no other way you could have ended this movie, and if there was literally any other way this ended, to me, it would not have been as effective. You know, you created this arc with Suok, and you let him at the end give the father's ultimate sacrifice. And you know, I'm not trying. You guys have kind of touched on this, especially Nico. So I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but I think it's fair to say, without you guys have gone yet, that you guys teared up a little bit. And you know, I don't know, maybe as a dad, maybe my perspective was a little bit different. And I'm not saying that as like a good or bad thing, but it was just me like trying to put my words into, or my feelings into words here. But you know, I like smiled at this scene because, you know, as a dad, like you want to go, there's no better way to go in my book besides, like, you know, you're sacrificing yourself for your kid, and he's repaired his relationship, and you know, at this point I'm smiling at that because, you know, you're just like, at a fucking boy, like you did it. And also you're smiling, I was, because they didn't fuck up this ending. Because I mean, you have movies like, for example, the Fog remake, you know, like, spoiler alert, it's so fucking good to me, and then they'll die for no reason in the end, for no meaningful reason. And so, you know, I was almost, half of me was like, whenever you guys were talking about tearing up, I was like, man, if you killed the little girl, like, that would have made me tear up like big time. And I was like, I would have been like, man. And then you go the opposite way, and they all would have just died together. I would have been a little disappointed in the ending. So I really feel like that this is the best possible ending they could have had, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I love the same shot that you talked about where it's overhead and it's the quote unquote, I guess I'll call it a chase. Man, that is such a cool fucking shot. And the way they're on the back of that train, it's implanted in me now. Like, and like Nico said at the beginning, I will own the Blu-ray. That's a shot that I'm gonna tell people you have to see this fucking movie. Like the way that they shoot that, I really, really love. And the intensity is ratcheted up here tenfold because of that. And you really don't know how they're going in. You kind of hope they go one way, obviously. You hope that he does like he's the one that sacrifices himself, and you get that. It's rewarding for that reason. Like you said, Brian, there was a little bit of a smile in there, but the sadness comes more from the fact that he had to. Like, yeah, that's the character arc, but it's more like if only he could have realized all of this happened without this pandemic or this epidemic coming through, and that's what it took. But again, we finally get to see the death of Mr. Asshole. I'm just going to call him so I quit fucking up his name. Like I liked it. I liked that they battle, and they almost try one minor nitpick, and maybe this was just my interpretation, but it's almost like at the end they tried to redeem him a little bit because his reason for going to Busan was kind of family motivated or something. I didn't really quite get that, I guess, because I would have just left the asshole. And again, he had to go, didn't matter anyway. But the moment that he realizes he's infected is really well done. Like, I like the acting there, and a really cool scene where he like he's talking and he's kind of like pleading for his life, where he has to see his, my mom's waiting on me, all this stuff. And the moment he realizes he's infected, and then he is infected, I like that little scene on the train. They're very intense. Had my, my throat my stomach and my throat, however you want to word that. Like, I just really like that. And, we've touched on it here. Yes, I definitely teared up here because the emotion from the daughter, just that the absolute just heartbreaking cries and screams. And he's doing the right thing, but it's still just so heart-wrenching. And when he's on the back and he's seeing the birth in his head as he's obviously starting to become infected, that is so powerful, just so meaningful. And that just shows you they've done such a good job setting these characters up, and they're in such a, I'll say, short time, because this does not feel like an almost 2-hour movie when you watch it. It goes by about as well as a 2-hour movie possibly can. And that whole thing, the way they decide to end it, I think it's so good. It's so powerful. I teared up both times I rewatched this. I think it's that damn good. And I like that she's singing the song and she's doing, as they're walking down the tracks, that little girl, that she acts that scene so well. And there's a moment where they almost got me where I thought they might actually kill these two. And that would have really pissed me off and ruined the entire fucking movie. I'm glad they didn't do that. But really, just a really powerful way to end this movie. Very nice redemptive story arc. And God, man, just the perfect cap on a really damn good movie.
Yeah, Brian, you mentioned it, and that's exactly what I had wrote down when you said them climbing over each other and latching onto the train. I wrote down in my notes, zombies grabbing on the back of the train was a cool visual. Gave big World War Z vibes. So yeah, that's exactly what it reminded me of as well. But yeah, that's definitely one of those scenes that, every movie has that iconic scene, that defining visual that when you think of this movie, what do you think of? To me, it's either that or, like I said earlier, when and the guys were all armored up and they come through to fight. Like, those are the two scenes that when I think of this movie, that's what stands out to me. Yeon Suk, he seemed to be coherent enough to beg for his life. So him biting Seok there was just an absolute world-class dick move in my mind, because you're coherent enough. Like, he's forming sentences and he's realizing that he's infected. So him just fighting it and then eventually biting him that's just a dick move. Fuck him forever. The separation scene with Siak and Soo-Ann, man, that was rough. Like you just see, like imagine that. Put yourself in both positions. Like if you're the daughter and your dad is about to leave you with a stranger because he's been bit and you know that he's about to die. And then as Siak, you know that you're bit. You were responsible for transporting your daughter to Busan to be with her mom. And you're going to have to rely on a complete stranger who has been somewhat of a liability this entire journey. You're going to have to trust her that she's going to protect your daughter. And then would you be able to do it? Would you be able to jump right then, or would you try to hold it on as long as you can, like which he basically did? But man, that was powerful. And then I like the visual of him when he's on the back of the train, and you see the birth and the baby moments and all those moments, the flashbacks there. But then you see, like I mentioned earlier, the veins start to poke out and turn extra blue and visual going up his neck and into his face, and then his eyes turn. Like that is very well done, and that makes what Brian said earlier just make more sense, because it took him a while to turn. It took Yeon-suk a while to turn, so it seems to be proximity to the brain as to what dictates how long their turn and transition takes. So that makes sense. I just wish it was perhaps explained. And then his jump. I thought his jump scene was well shot. They didn't show it. You're looking at the side, or the ground and the shadow. That is brilliant to me, because you didn't need to see it.
Much more effective. You're right.
It's much more effective. So I thought that was just beautiful cinematography there. One question I have though is, okay, I've been bit. Please protect my daughter. I'm not gonna worry about telling you the crucial discovery we made about darkness. I'm just gonna you'll figure it out. Like what? That to me was one of the biggest nitpicks I had. Was I said earlier, I wish they'd exploited the darkness earlier, discuss it, formulate a plan, whatever. But he could have at least mentioned, hey, please watch after my daughter. By the way, these bastards can't see, so when it's dark, you're safe. No, he's just going to let them figure it out for themselves. Fuck out of here. That's shows to me, okay, you are a bad parent. Then why the fuck is the military so eager to kill them before they can confirm if they're zombies or not? They're well armed. I mean, well armed. They've got they got the sandbags there. They got the armor. They got the tanks. They got the heavy artillery. They don't have to shoot them while they're in the tunnel. So I get it. You're building suspense, and you did it to make the audience hold on to their breath while you're like, oh God, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? But realistically, they could have waited until they were all the way out of the tunnel before pulling the trigger. So that was kind of an unnecessary, intense moment, in my opinion. But then also, Nico, I got to kind of disagree with you on this too, because, and it's just a slight disagreement, but I get it. Her singing the song because she told her dad, I'll practice my song, blah, blah, blah. And then she's singing the song with the tears in her eyes as they're walking. They've been through this traumatic journey. But if I'm the pregnant woman there, and I can't remember her name, but if I'm her, I'm probably saying, hey, Soo-Ann, shut the fuck up. Like your voice is echoing in this tunnel. We don't want to attract any unwanted attention. So yeah, you're saving our lives, because once they realize you're singing, they're going to know that we're alive, but we don't know that right now. So just shut the fuck up. You might get us killed. So it was a powerful moment, but it was kind of, in the grand scheme of things, it didn't make the most sense to me, because, if they're in the tunnel, they might not be able to see, but they don't know that, but they can definitely hear you. That's been evident through the rest of the film. They're attracted to sound and visuals. So could have done without that. But overall, man, you want to talk about reaching for some nitpicks, boys. That's what I just did. So great ending to a fantastic movie.
Oh yeah, y'all got any more final thoughts before we jump into the fan question and fun facts?
No.
I just wanted to add, I really like the score that they had with the dad jumping off. Golly, just the cherry on top of the sundae right there. Just the music change, whew, just hit me right in the old chest. But the fan question we have is from big time friend of the show, Sean Irwin. He just asked, at what point in time during this movie would you have killed Yon Suk? I replied to him on Facebook, but I told him we'd answer it on air too. I would have killed him the second, when Seok punches him, I'd have just killed him then. Fuck it.
Yeah, me too. But that's my answer. The exact same time.
Fuck
right
that
there.
guy.
Yep.
Brian, Dustin, when would you kill Yon Suk?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think. It kind of it bothered me, whenever he was laying on top, or getting, when he was pushed in that train seat and was like, he's infected. But like, it bothered me because Seok never really like said anything. All he would have had to been like, no, motherfucker, I'm not infected. Obviously, very obvious. Like he could have, I think, and obviously they didn't want to do that because of the plot. But I think real life people, I don't know. I would have definitely beat the shit out of him, like right there. I don't know if it would have actually killed him in front of everybody else and shown that, I don't know if I'd have killed him there. But that motherfucker definitely would have gotten killed any point where it was when we were off that train after that, for sure.
So yeah, I agree. I would be highly displeased when he's not allowing us to, he's kicking us out of that train car like that. But I agree, you can't necessarily kill him right there because number one, you're not going to really help your case by saying you're not infected if you just kill someone right there. But number two, you probably don't want to kill someone in front of your daughter who's not a zombie. So probably wouldn't do it there, but I would have wanted to. And then you're right. As soon as we get off this train, motherfucker, it's on. It's your ass on sight. So that's how I'd have done it. I just kind of pick and choose my moment. As soon as we get off here, y'all hang out, be safe. I got something to take care of.
All right, y'all ready to jump into fun facts? I've only got 2 of them.
I just had the budget.
Okay. First one I got is filmmaker Edgar Wright, who directed the BAFTA-nominated zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead in 2004. He was a big fan of the film. Wright recommended the film in a tweet and called it the best zombie movie I've seen in forever. And Train to Busan is the 6th highest grossing domestic film of all time in South Korea. That's the only 2 I've got. Those are both from IMDb.
I got one, and it's just that the word zombie, because this is a big thing about The Walking Dead. Like they never once used the word zombie; they use walk or whatever. The word zombie is mentioned one time in this film. So, hour 58 minutes, zombie is said one time. So I think that's interesting. I do too.
I like that about this movie. That's yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. I said mine during the thing.
Okay, so this movie was made for 8.5 mil, which like mentioned previously, is a low budget. I think they used their budget really, really well as far as effects and everything else. In the box office, it made $98.5 million. So obviously, it warranted a sequel, which I won't get into here because I haven't seen it, and I'm not going to pick it this month. But a lot of money for an $8.5 million movie, if especially a foreign film like that, and a domestic box office, according to this, in U.S. dollars, it made $98.5 million. So really well done. And I know it has a big cult following because of streaming services like Prime and Shudder, the horror streaming service. It's on there as well. And so I know it has a cult following. And so I'm sure if you accumulated all that and some Blu-ray buys, it probably has made even more since then.
Oh, yeah. Y'all ready to jump into our favorite kill, least favorite kill, and the rating brought to you by Manscaped? Go to manscaped.com, use our code DON'TGO, and you'll get free shipping and 20% off your order. So it's a great deal. Holiday season's coming up, y'all.
Take care.
Anybody want to go first in particular?
With some Manscaped products.
Jingle balls. Oh, sorry. Hey, I'll go first because mine's pretty simple.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fucking great. God damn it. I'll go first because mine's pretty simple here. My favorite kill is Yon Suk, you bastard. And it's basically because I wanted to see him die. My least favorite is, I'm going to try to say Seok Woo. I guess that's how you say it because, man, what? Just golly, heart-wrenching. And I know that's not I mean, he kind of killed himself, but for good reason. So yeah, that was my least favorite kill. Although Sang is pretty much up there. Although we didn't see Sang die, he became a zombie. So I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I think this movie, from a rewatchability standpoint, is so rewatchable. It's so important that I say that. I could watch this movie anytime and it would suck me in. It's become one of those movies for me. If I'm watching, I'm interested. That's how highly I think of this film. I've loved on it enough. I have a very, very minor nitpick, and that's very, very minor that I had. So with everything I've said here, I believe I've given 3 films a 9 or higher, if I'm not mistaken. This one will, if that's true, then this one will be the 4th, because I'm going to give this one a 9, a flat 9. I don't want to give it a 10 because, man, that's such a high bar. I almost gave it a 9.5, but I just settled on a 9. I think it's fucking great. Everything about it I love, and I think it's well worthy of a 9, maybe even higher, maybe a 9.5, but I'll settle on a 9.
I'll go because mine's pretty quick too.
I'll go after you, Brian.
Okay, yeah, and I don't really have a lot of closing statements, honestly, because I said all of my feelings during the whole review. But just again, I thought this movie was fucking great. My favorite kill was Sang, and I know we just saw him. I take that as, hey, you turned into a zombie, you died, and your human form's dead. But I loved his, like, I don't know, it was almost like wrestler-esque, type, just holding that the zombie, just blockading everybody in, just taking the bites, almost like an action hero, like, just taking the shots, somebody shooting him or something. And I don't know, I love that. I didn't write down a least favorite kill, just because there's so many that are, there are so many that are good, but there are also so many that are off screen. And so I didn't really pick one in particularly. Again, I love this movie. I've only given 3 movies, I think, a 10. I think this is right there. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
All right. My favorite kill, I'm going with Yon Suk, because just fuck that guy. He was so awful. I just enjoyed seeing him die finally. I'll go with my least favorite kill. I'm kind of with Brian, but if I have to pick one, I'm gonna go with Young Gook whenever he's holding Jin Hee. Just because, I mean, I like their relationship, but it was kind of funny whenever he died, because he's just it was a little bit comical when he died. Rating, I'm just gonna get my 2 nitpicks. Like Dustin said at the beginning, but Brian made a good point. Just the speed at which they became infected was kind of a nitpick. And my other very tiny nitpick was just how lackadaisical, I guess you could say, Sang and Seok were with their hands. Like Sang just left his hand on the door to get bit real easy. And then Seok, my man, you can't grab this man from behind and put your hand right on his mouth. Like, bro, I know it's the heat of the moment, but like, you got all of his body and you pick the one spot you can't put it. So that kind of bothered me a little bit. But rating, I don't care. I'm giving this movie a 10. This movie moved me emotionally. It's affected me greatly. Every time I watched it, both times I cried at the ending. It was so powerful. That little girl was one of the best child actors I've ever seen. So powerful. Seeing her cry as her daddy died, it hurt me because I could just picture seeing my niece doing that, and it broke me on the inside. This movie's great. The character development's great. Cinematography, score. I love this movie. It's I highly recommend it, and it's free on Amazon Prime right now. I highly recommend you watch this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's free on Amazon Prime. It's free on Tubi. It's on Shudder, like Mike said. However you can watch this movie, watch it. I'm going to say my favorite kill and least favorite kill are the same as Mike's, and it's for the same reason. Like, Yon Suk was satisfying because that fucker needed to die a lot earlier than he did. And then my least favorite kill, Seok Woo, because you want to talk about this guy has been fighting an uphill battle to redeem himself as a father for 2 hours, and then he just goes out like he did. I get what you're saying, Nico. Absolutely. It's his own fault because you can touch this man anywhere but the mouth. So what the fuck are you doing? But it didn't take away from how emotionally derailed. That, no pun intended, because it's a train movie, but
It's all right.
it really did a number on my emotions, and I just sounded like an 80-year-old woman by saying it did a number on them, but it did. I mean, it left me fucked up, brother. I don't I don't cry. Listen,
Mhm.
I don't cry in movies. There's one movie in this entire world that makes me cry, and that's the movie Her with Joaquin Phoenix. This movie almost got that. And so for me to say that, just it does everything that you want in a movie. And for the fact that I couldn't understand what they were saying, I was having to rely on subtitles for a movie to have me that much emotionally invested when I have to read what they're saying speaks volumes to how good it is anyway. Or again, I've told no less than 7 people that I've talked to this week, you need to watch this movie if you've never seen it. And usually I don't go out of my way to tell people,
Mhm.
hey, watch this movie, especially when it's a foreign language film, because let's be honest, most people they don't go out of their ways to watch foreign movie films or foreign language films. And so, that being said, I also give this movie a 9.5. One of the higher ratings I've given out for sure. Maybe the highest rating, close to it. I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and review. But fantastic movie. Definitely, you're doing yourself a disservice if you haven't watched it and you don't plan to. So if you haven't watched it, that's fine. It took me a while as well. It took all of us a while. Do it. And because for this movie to have a composite score between the 4 of us of 9.5, that tells you something. We don't give those scores out just like they're Halloween candy.
Absolutely. I'm pretty sure the only one that's come close or what? Silence of the Lambs and 7. Like that's
Yeah, and
pretty
the first
damn impressive. And the first It. Yeah.
I'm right there with you, Dustin. I've recommended so many people
have
to
I.
watch this movie just because I don't know, man. It's just this movie it touched my heart, man. And I don't even like zombie movies that much. I mean, they're not my favorite genre of horror, but this movie was incredible. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. It was great. Uh, yeah. Any more final thoughts? I think we've done nothing but love on it the whole time.
I'm good. Yeah. I mean, I tried to find more negative stuff, but I just couldn't and quite frankly didn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with showing love to something that deserves it. Next week is Brother Brian's choice. Do you want to go ahead and announce your pick, brother?
Yeah, again, we're kind of shooting in the dark, at least, with it's kind of hit or miss. Like we're not going into it going, oh, I know I like this movie. That's why I kind of really like that we're doing this Never Seen It week or a month. But anyway, I've never seen Eli Roth's Knock Knock with Keanu Reeves. I love fucking Keanu Reeves, so hey, I think we are going to give it a shot. Now, obviously, I think that the bar is set too high with what we just reviewed, but hell, like I said, we had no idea what we're getting into with all 4 of these movies, so I think that's great.
That's one of the beautiful things about this show, man. Is just you get to watch things you've never seen, and you either love it, you hate it. It becomes one of your instant favorites. That's why I love doing this show with you guys. Uh, y'all got any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. I enjoyed it, fellas. Great movie. Great pick, Dustin.
Hey, Mike, plug what we just did on YouTube, brother.
Yeah, before we get out of here, we just did a reaction to the Halloween Kills teaser. It's exclusive on YouTube for now, but I'm sure it'll be up on our feeds at some point down the road. But for now, you can catch that on YouTube. It's me, Nico, and Brian kind of breaking down Halloween Kills. If you're not Michael Myers out by now, by the end of that video, you might be, but I hope you still check that out on YouTube. That just search Don't Go Out There. It's our reaction to the teaser that was dropped last week. And I think we had a good little 30-minute episode for you.
Oh yeah, just want to thank everyone who's been listening. We really appreciate it. It's been an awesome first year for us, and we're glad you're loving the content. Thank you again for all the support. Y'all have a good one. Just want to remind everybody,